Hey, welcome to day 4 of the Playbook project. And so the topic we're going to talk about today is wireframing. And so if you remember us talking about our specification process, we put together a high-level spec to pass over to the designers. And so we've been working here for the last handful of days, iterating on some feedback with the design team. And we've actually used many pixels, which is an unlimited design service. And so I'm going to talk quite a bit about that in tomorrow's video. But I wanted to share with you how we've approached the design and the wireframing specifically. So if we look at our spec here, one of the most important screens that we are designing is where you can build out your workflows, your processes, and including some conditional logic, so some decision paths. So if you have a process, for example, at our company Harvest Profit, which is a farm management software company, we have a customer onboarding process. A lot of it is automated, but some of it is manual. And so one of the main reasons I'm actually building Playbook is handling this conditional logic. And one specific example would be when a customer signs up for our software at Harvest Profit, we send them a package, we schedule a call, we send them a variety of emails, automated and manual. And then you get to a point where is the customer onboarded with the software? If they are successfully onboarded with the software, we should take them down a separate path. If they are not, they will go down a different path. And so that is really one of the main reasons that we've wanted to build this Playbook project is, to be able to handle these, simple but yet complex. The complexity is growing in any business, and being able to handle these edge cases. There's other tools out there, but we wanted our own flavor to being able to handle processes like that include some conditional logic within them. So that's the main screen that we had talked about here in this specification. And so we handed that off. I didn't put too much design effort as far as graphics and UI. What I really did is I laid out this spec right here. I included just a variety of examples, just little components that would be included in that one primary screen, and then let the designer, go to work. And so then we had a couple sets of iterations before we got that initial create screen at a point where I was comfortable with it. And so I'm trying to move fast here. I'm trying to minimize the iterations. There's one major downfall that I had seen using this many pixel service. And I think they're working on it, but once again, I'll talk about that tomorrow. A little bit of an issue that we had efficiently getting the designs done here. And so what I want to talk about is specifically wireframing. So taking, an idea and starting to build a UI around that design. And in the past, I've used Balsamiq, which is a great tool. Big fan of Balsamiq. You can not only build a UI, but you can have the UI come together. You can link things. You can make clickable links. You can make a prototype, and really am a big fan of Balsamiq. And specifically Balsamiq, if you're not familiar with it, it allows you to generate these really low fidelity prototypes. So specifically, they have no hint of a design in them whatsoever. Because if you start designing an initial wireframe, it's easy for any sort of design that you put in there, even if it's accidental, to get carried over to the rest of your design. And so they make it painfully obvious that there is no design embedded in this product. Let's see if they have some different screenshots here. So yeah, here you can see it's highly obvious if you look at some of these screens here that, yeah, this is not meant to be any sort of design. It's just meant to show location and relative size of UI, features, buttons, checklists, really the nuts and bolts of what is in that screen of software without drop shadow or colors or animation or just a lot of the stuff that a designer will take care of for you. So Balsamiq is a great tool. I'm a big fan of it. Another tool which I've grown to really like is Figma. So Figma is it's a high fidelity prototype design tool. So this tool is not meant for wireframing. It is powerful. It can create high fidelity designs, prototypes. You can collaborate with multiple users. I really like the fact that it's web-based. You can access it from any computer. You don't have to download any software. It's really kind of like a web-based version of Sketch. I'm also a big fan of Sketch, but more and more I find myself going to use Figma, and you can see their little animation here shows the ability to build some pretty powerful prototypes within Figma. And I'm not a Figma expert to say the least, but it's a really great tool for doing any sort of design, and I really gravitate and like the web-based nature of it. And then thirdly, what I've done here is a little bit different. And so I sent, I guess we don't have it up here. This is the Many Pixels customer feedback portal, but I downloaded a screenshot anyway, so we don't need to look at that. But after we got done with one of our first initial versions of the Playbook spec, or the Playbook design, the low fidelity wireframes, I went ahead and did a little bit more of a definitive wireframe for another key screen, and that's the dashboard screen within Playbook. And so it'll basically show the different steps and the different processes that we have in place. And so I decided to take a little bit more of a definitive approach to laying out this wireframe. And what I actually did is I used Google Slides, and it just has really simple ability to generate shapes, to line up those shapes, copy and paste. It's a lot less focused on how many pixels is each one of these shapes versus a tool like Figma. So you can just really drag and drop and throw on text. And so here is my little screen that I designed to show my overall thought process on laying out these different processes. And so each one of these would be a process. You can click into the process to see the individual tasks, and you can expand each task. You can check them off, and really just a simple high-level overview of what I thought this should look like. You can look at all of the processes. You can look at overdue processes. You can filter by user, by tag, by type, by template. You can sort. My spelling there is terrible, it looks like, alphabetically, or sort by due date. Really just the home screen for this project is what I laid out here. And so we've got a pretty good start on high fidelity, the high 5 prototypes for all of this, which once we have those complete, we can flip that and version 2 of our spec document over to a developer to allow them to really hit the ground running. And so tomorrow I'm going to talk specifically more about the process of working with Many Pixels, the unlimited design agency, and how that experience has been, and what we are doing moving forward with many pixels and with finishing up version 1 of a high fidelity design that will be in a solid enough of a state that we can flip it over to our developer. So all in all, my thoughts on wireframing: be careful not to define the scope of the design too much ahead of time. So that's where I've started to not even generate any wireframes, because I want to give the designer the creative freedom to you not be boxed in to a certain thought already. But tools like Balsamiq and Figma, you can even use a spreadsheet. I've used Google Slides presentation software to generate this. I think is a really great way to start to define some of your UI expectations. So with that, most of our low fidelity wireframes here at Playbook are done, and we are going to talk more tomorrow about many pixels and the unlimited design firm that we decided to go for on our Playbook project. So have a wonderful day, and we will chat tomorrow.